Welcome to the third Cookiecutter Django installment. In the first video, I talked about Cookiecutter Django and Cookiecutter and all of the intricacies that are involved with the package. In the second video, it was about an hour long. We initialized the first project and discussed all of the anatomy of it, how it works. And then I got some coffee. Now, in this video, I'm going to go over a couple of concepts. The first one being how to install a new app, right? Because in any Django application, the apps are the app. You got the project, and then you have the apps inside of the project. You got to have the apps to keep your. I mean, you could build it all in one app, but it's going to be a heavy app, right? So we like to have our apps. In order to get that going, we're going to have to do a couple of things a little differently. What are you loading? Than we would normally do in a Django application. So, for starters, once again, we're at our terminal where we need to use the containers to get anything done now because we're using Docker, right? So I'm going to use Docker Compose. I'm going to say local YAML. That's -f local YAML, YML. And I'm going to run remove Django. And then from here, we can say the normal command, which would be python manage .py start app, and we can name this test app. All right, so I wish I had collapsed everything first, but that's okay. Okay, so here is the trick, I guess. In a normal application, in your basic tutorial application or Django applications that you would build, that app would have generated, and it did, into the main project folder, and it did. And then from there, you'd add it into your base.py, and you'd be off to the races. Well, in this situation, your apps are in your app folder. This did not generate in the app folder. So what do? We just drag it into the app folder. Ta-da. Well, not quite ta-da. We have one more thing we have to do. We then have to go into the apps.py file inside of the app folder that we just created. And where it says name, we need to give it the prefix of the project folder, or of the apps folder. So in my case, Cookiecutter is generally going to be a project name inside of the project folder. So for me, it's Cookiecutter test.app. And I'm going to copy this, hit save. And then we want to go over to our config file because that's where our settings are. Go into base.py, go up to installed apps. Now, don't be intimidated by this file. We have Django apps, we have third-party apps, we have local apps. It even says your stuff right here. Hit paste. I actually prefer double quotes, as I think is appropriate for the linters. And then you can see installed apps is all of those things combined. So that's simple. Hit save. Now that app should be available. There's nothing in it, but it should be available. So we can test that, but we can by going to the app itself, which is in the app folder, test app, views. We'll create a view here real quick. We'll call this def. Let's just call it dashboard. I don't know. We'll just call it whatever. Put the request in there. Build an empty context for the S's and the G's, so the shits and the giggles, and then we'll return render request. That would be in dashboard or testapp.dashboard.html /dashboard.html. All right, and then we'll pass the context. So another, this is actually pretty typical with Django applications. From this point forward, you're pretty much just working Django like you've learned anywhere else. So, for instance, in the app folder, we do need a urls.py. Okay, so Django from Django URLs import path from Cookiecutter, and I'm doing this specifically to show you this part right here. So. Again, this is a more sophisticated way to do things. So you could in certain situations, maybe get away from importing from test app .views, import dashboard, import. However, this is the better way to do it. We're in the Cookiecutter folder, so from Cookiecutter, from test app, from views, get dashboard, right? So just anytime you're calling in from your local apps, just make sure you put your project or your apps folder prefix right there, and you'll be good to go. You'll want to give every app a name in the URL file. App name is going to be, what did I call it? I'll just call it test. So I think I called it app test. And then from there we can make our URL patterns. Path. Send that to the root for this move. Thanks. Okay, we don't have to put that view there. See, we could just do it like this. So say dashboard, and then do we have to include name? I don't remember. Dashboard. I don't know if we can get away with just doing it like that. I think we can, but I don't like that. I showed that just to show that, you know, like you can kind of shorthand it. I like to just put the things there. So, all right. So now that URL is now going to be available. So I can put it into a template. I'll put it in the base template up in the header now. Okay. Oh, it's not available. Hold on. Real quick. We have to go to the urls.py file in the config folder now, where it says your stuff here. Let's call this test. And we'll include test.urls. That's what we named the URLs right here. So over here, maybe it's supposed to be, no, because it's the app name, right? So that should work fine. Let's go find out. First thing we need to do though is we need to actually set that as a URL. So we can just come up here, we can say dashboard, and then I need to make it test.dashboard. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and say that I did that wrong. My bad. What did I call that folder? Test app. All right. The name that we gave to the URLs right here is for calling the URL right there. And we don't need any parameters. So this should be good to go like this. So if I hit save and I come over, what is that? Oh, so yeah, I need to go up. Maybe. Heck. No module named test app. No module named test app. No module named test app. That's okay. So we'll try the URLs like this. Not a big deal. Cookiecutter. I named it test app. Yeah. We'll let this spin and see what it does. There it goes. And then it said application startup complete because I fixed that little error. So now if I come over here and I hit refresh, we now have our application. We have this dashboard link in there in the header. It says template does not exist. Okay. So the link does work, the view works, everything works. I just don't have the template. So over in the global templates folder inside of your apps folder, where I think I said test app.dashboard or test app.dashboard. So we'll create a folder called test app. We'll create a file inside called dashboard.html. Inside here we can extend base. So we'll say extends. Go back one base.html. Whenever you do these double dots with the backslash, forward slash, backslash, forward slash, you just want to think where am I at, which is I'm inside this folder. Where do I need to go? I want to get to base, so I want to come out to templates. I want to come out one folder to templates. Now I'm in templates. Base is at the bottom of templates, so all I got to do is come out one folder and I'll find base. If I was in another folder, I might have to come out two folders. Wherever I need two dots, two dashes. Okay, and then for the block content, which is the typical block for content that you will find, but you can make these block. You can make a block called whatever you want. The typical block for the content area of these pages with a fresh install is going to be called content. So we'll overwrite that. It's h1 dashboard. Hit save. Go back here. Hit refresh. Dashboard. Little typo there. Block tag with name content appears more than once. Let's go find out why. Oh, because that was supposed to be an in block. My bad. Dashboard end block. There you go. So, if I wanted to make the dashboard, login required, say from django.contrib.auth.decorators, import login required, and then I'll come up here and put that as a decorator, login required. Okay, so now when I go to it, it's going to redirect me to the login page, I think. Let's find out together. Yeah, it redirected me to the login page. So when I log in, you see it says next, and the next is it's sending me to dashboard. And then I logged in, and boom, there we go. Now we're in dashboard. Now we have to be logged in to see the dashboard, but we're logged in to see the dashboard. But we're really getting into a lot of just normal Django territory, which is totally fine. There's a lot of things I'd like to cover, but in terms of the cookie cutter Django portion of things, I mean, that's basically it. That's basically it. The thing about the cookie cutter Django build is that you have all these tools that work in orchestration together in a symphony of technological wonder, and you've got access to background running tasks with Celery. Your Postgres database is in a container, all nice and neat. You don't have to worry about it. The Django build is perfect. It's not, you don't have to worry about it being like local or global on your machine, or having a virtual environment, or making sure your virtual environment's running. You have to make sure Docker's running. Mailpit, you don't have to worry about emails, how to test emails and set all that up. It's just right here. Everything's right there. So it's all there. It's all good. Okay, so I guess from there, if I wanted to do anything, it'd probably be I could work in the shell a little bit. Let me grab a model from another project. Do I have one open? I don't. Let me just make a model real quick. Just call it colors. Color. Typically, oh, it's not. It's a class. You typically make your models singular, not plural. Okay. So we say name, and we'll do models.charfield, models.charfield, the max length of like 100, it doesn't matter. And then I'll do a hex. Give it the same. Hit save. All right, so now we have this new model in this app, in this project here. And we're going, okay, now I need it to migrate, right? So I'm gonna open up a new PowerShell. While the project's running in the foreground on this one, I'm gonna come over to this PowerShell. I'm gonna cd into the right folder. And not that it needs to be running, I'm just showing it. It can run. I could shut it down and still do this on that terminal. I just made a new terminal. Either way, either or, they're not interfering with each other. They can run concurrently. Go into local.yml, maybe. Run, remove, Django. Okay, so just like with all the other times we did this, now we are in position to run the absolutely normal, not suspicious at all commands that we would normally run for Django. In this case, we want to run Python manage.py, make migrations. Created the color model, then we need to run migrate. Okay, and then we want to go into the shell. We could go into the admin and do this. I'm just gonna do it in the shell. So, from Cookiecutter.testapp.models, import color, color.objects.create, where the name equals blue, and the hex equals, is RGB, so it would be all right, is that right? That doesn't matter. The actual hex code doesn't matter. We'll never even. Oh, we could play with it. If I got some time here, we can play with it. But I might not have gotten them right. So red R, so FF, and then right there, and then we'll say green. Okay, color.objects.all, count, got 3 colors, cool. Okay, this gets into a part of development which is CRUD, create, retrieve, update, destroy, CRUDL. Create, update, retrieve, destroy, list. Which retrieve is just a list, like a batch retrieve, right? But I like the way CRUDL sounds. Nobody thinks that's funny. It's okay. You don't have to laugh. I'm the only one that thinks that's funny. But I call it CRUDL for fun. Let's say that we want to list out the colors. We need a view for that, right? There's a couple ways we could do that. I could create a function-based view. Just call it colors. the request. And I could get the colors by saying colors, color.objects.all, which I would have to import the colors either way. So from Cookiecutter test app models import color, and then in the context, I guess we just add colors. Let's say colors. Equals colors, and we can return render request test app colors list. I like to use dashes, list.html, and then the context, right? So we can do this totally fine. You can put a lot of logic in here. And a lot of, like, especially in these retrieve situations, this is actually a little simpler than the class-based method. The class-based method is actually really cool, though. I really like it. It's very hackable, and they're just really nice, like, training wheels for getting started here. So if I go to Django views generic, and I can import a couple of things. So we said create, retrieve, update, and destroy. Let's say I first want to get the list view. Then we want the detail view. That would be retrieve. Then we want a create view, and we want an update view. We want a delete view. These are all class-based views. They work a little differently than function-based views. They're all, you can extend them from generic, and they basically provide the functionality that you're looking for in doing the things that it says that they do. So you want to list stuff. Instead of doing this function-based view, we can come up here and we can say class equals color list view, and we want to extend the list view, and then the model that we're going to use is going to be color. Template name would be the same as this. There's a couple of things we can do, like for instance, if you want to set some methods in here for get context data. You know, it doesn't have to look this fancy. Actually, the way I do it is like this. What? Self args quargs. Context would equal super get context data. Pass the args and the quargs in. And if you don't know, whenever you see super, what it's basically saying is that this class, this one, already has a get context data function. So what we want to do is we want to work with this a little bit. So I might want to say context page title equals colors. It's no different than me coming up here and saying page title colors. It's the same concept. I could even come down here and I can say context with the context available, page title equals colors, and then delete this, and it'll do the same thing. Okay, but what we want to do is we want to say the context equals the original context generator, the original context functions. Go ahead and get the super, fire off the super function, put that into context. Let's add a little bit to the context, and then we want to return the context. Now, one thing to note is that we're not grabbing the colors in this situation. Those are being supplied here. That's why we gave it a model, and this is a list view. It's expecting to take a model, and it's going to go ahead and give those back as objects, or object list is what it'll be called. All right. So other than that, if this was a update or create view, we would have a form valid function we could do. We could say def form valid. There's a get form for before it's submitted. So that maybe you want to alter the available options in a choice field or whatever. That's a good one. And then also get success URL is another function that you would want to set if this was some kind of submission thing. There's a couple other things that we might want to do here. So for instance, right at the moment, this is a public, both of these are publicly accessible. As far as this one goes, we would just put login required on it, and these are the same views, just with different function-based, class-based, right? But they would do the same thing. I'm only going to use one of them. I'll delete the other one. I'll probably delete this one. But in a function-based views situation, we'd use login required. However, in a class-based views situation, we need something a little bit different from almost the same package, django.contrib.auth, but we want to say mixins. Import login required mixin. Okay, so we'll mix that into the view here. Now, the user has to be logged in to view either one of these, but this one especially. Another thing that we can do, because we don't want all the colors, and well, we do in this case, but in some situations we might not. Let's say get query set. Yeah, you never want to hit tab. Just a bad time. At the moment, it's set to super, which would just do the default. There's no point even overriding it. But let's say we want to say color.objects. It would be a filter because it's coming back as a list, right? We want to make sure we're giving it a bunch of objects. It's not going to know what to do with just one object unless that one object is in a list of what could potentially be lots of objects. But let's say we had a user on these objects, and we wanted the user to be, well, up here, if we said filter user in this function-based view, and then we would say request.user, right? Then there is no user on the color, but if there was, it would filter by the user, and then it would put those in there because of request.user. But down here in these class-based views, there is no request. All we have is self inside of these method functions. You can't just like come in here and start writing a bunch of like programming logic. It doesn't work that way. This is a class. It's not a function. So you have methods that you can overwrite inside of the class that you're welcome to do that too. But then you're left with this whole where's the request at? Well, the request is in self. So the only difference between this and a function-based view is that we have to say self request.user. And we get our filter, it would return back the filtered results. So if these were like user account specific, you wouldn't want every user to have access to every other user stuff. So you want to filter it, query set the way to go. However, we don't have that problem right now. I'll just set this to all. It's basically default. It's basically calling super, but we'll leave it like that. And that's really it in terms of creating a class-based view. And you can do that with all of them. Now, granted, I didn't get into create and update, at least not yet, or delete. They're a little more complicated because they have the forms. There's one, well, I'll tell you what. I'm going to delete this. And then one little thing, so you have to call as view, and you can do this in the urls.py file, or you can just do this down here. And I typically just do it below the function, so I'll say color list view equals color list view.as view. And I'll take this variable, I'll hit save, I'll go over to the URLs. import it. And down here, I'll say path, colors, view equals this. We'll call it colors, save. And then over in dashboard, nope, over in base.html, I'm just gonna go ahead and change about to colors. And then we'll call this test colors, save. Now, when I refresh, well, you should see colors here. The word, not actual colors. It's very, very not colored. Test app.list. Oh yeah, okay, so now we just need to come in here and create a file, which would be colors.html. That's not a file. File colors.html, extend base, block content, give it an H1 so we can see what's going on around here. H1 colors. Refresh. Template does not exist. Color list, color list. Oh, because yeah, I called it wrong. Color list. Notice how it checked for an underscore or a dash? See? It was like, yeah, we can't find either one of those, bud. That's okay. Wait, what? Colors list. Change the name. All right, so now we have our colors page. So here's the thing. How do we get the colors to display on the page? It's actually very simple in all of these situations with these class-based views, whereas you would in a function-based views, I set it to colors in the context, and then I would call colors. That would be all the colors, right? In this case, you can change the naming convention to be colors or whatever you want inside of the function or inside of the class-based view code. However, by default, if you're on a single object view, a detail view, or a create view, or an update view, or a delete view, you're going to see it as object. If you're on a list view, essentially is really the only other one, you're going to see object list, underscore list. So let's go ahead and put that out onto the page, and let's see what it comes out as. And as you can see, we get all of the all of the objects that are in there crudely pasted out. One thing we can do is we can come in here and we can say def string self return self dot name. Spell name right. There we go. Save. Hit refresh. Okay, so now it's outputting the actual, the name of the color inside of the query set. Something else we can do here to make it maybe a little more visible is say PP. It's P print. It's pretty print. So it's two P's, RINT. You get a pipe, pretty print, but it's PP, RINT. All right, did I save that? Let's save it. And let's see what that does. Basically the same thing. Yeah, I don't. Okay, it didn't actually change anything. I guess it just pre-printed by default. But that's basically useless. We don't want to use that like that. What I can do though is I can use an unordered list li. Well, let's do like this. So we'll say if object list length, meaning if there's anything in the list, else end if, create a new li, maybe do an inf, maybe give that a class of text muted because we're using Bootstrap by default, and then I want to say no colors available. Sad face, even though it looks weird in HTML. Okay, so if there are any colors available though, if there is a length to the list, I want to say for, I don't know, you can say obj, you can say color. I think I'll say color in object list in for. And then we'll just print the color.name for now. You know what, let's do both. Color hex. And as you can see, it's printing out. Now, any good hexadecimal color is going to start with a dash. So we can say hashtag plus, or start with a hashtag, not a dash. Hit refresh, see if we don't get a template error here. Yeah. Could not parse the remainder. I forget. Okay, my bad. I think I might be in a different language. I'm used to doing a templating language in a specific CMS where you can add strings together, but it's Java. It's Java based, but it's not like I don't know Java, let alone Jinja. So as you can see, we've got our colors there. If I want to link to a specific color, I'm trying to go fast because I'm really not trying to burn the clock too bad. Let's go ahead and put a link here. Okay. So you're not going to get anywhere with these links because they're linked to pound, right? They're linked to hashtag. But you got to have a view. Over in views, once again, we could get ourselves in a situation where it's like, single color request context equals that return render request test app single color.html context. We could do this, and then the color would be color.objects.get. We would need the color ID here. Objects, and then the ID would be color ID, and then the color to return. So you can dump pretty much anything in these contexts within context. All right, so then this would be a singular color, a single color being returned, and that's great, right? It works just fine this way. Once again, and honestly, the function-based views are the more sophisticated. I mean, I don't know about sophisticated. They're just the more capable way. You can do just about anything in the class-based views, but at a certain point, you end up having to work around things. And when you get to that point, it's just better to use function. Combining forms, that's a very hard thing to do apparently in class-based views. So yeah, little things like that will trip you up. So it's good to know when to use what. You can always use function-based views. It's not a big deal. You can't always use class-based views as far as I know. There's been a couple situations where I probably could have used them. I just didn't. So you might be able to use them both. But I can tell you that it's much easier to get started with class-based views. It's much harder to keep going with class-based views. So know that. But we'll create a color detail view. And what I name these doesn't matter. I just do this because it's kind of like convention. So I'm extending the detail view. What am I extending it for color? That's the naming convention, right? It makes a lot of sense that way. Detail view. Go ahead and do login required mixin. Model, of course, is going to be color. Template underscore name is going to equal this. Beyond that, I mean, we could copy and paste this context here. But instead of calling it page title, let's do it like this. We'll say color plus f string color equals self.object, which is how we reference the object that is the reason for this class functioning at the moment. So it can only take one object as its main object, and that object is going to be the object in which you send it back. Just like we have to send back this color ID here, we're going to have to send back some kind of ID or slug for the color here in order for it to figure out what color it's referencing, but it automatically knows based on detail view that it's only going to get one of this model object, right? And that one that it's going to get is going to be based off of the ID that we send back. We don't have to put it anywhere. It's already built into the class. So with that being the case, if I can click here, thank you. I want to get the self, which is the class, the object that we're referencing. Wow, my computer is just not behaving. And then we want to output the name there for the page title. Other than that, we can return the context. We'll be fine. What else do we want to do here? What do we do up here? We don't need to mess with query. If there was a user on the model, there is one thing we'd have to do here, and it's out of the mixins. So user passes test mixin, which I'll set it up, but then I'm going to have to delete it because I don't have a user on this model specifically. So that's one way to do it. We can drop these down like this. It's more Pythonic to do it that way. And then test func. I always do that. It's fine. I should leave it like this. It imports for you and everything, but it's not really what I want to do. So object is going to equal self.get object. And then we would say something like if obj.user equals self.request.user return double equal sign there. If the user on the object equals the user that's logged in, the request user, then we can say return true, which is essentially saying yes, they can access this page. And then we just say return false. That way, if this is false, then it would just come back. It would just keep going down to here where it would return false, which with this test func would return was it 403 forbidden, access denied. I can't remember what the exact code is, but because we don't have a user on the object, we can just go ahead and delete that. We could do something like, we don't have to just test the user. I don't know why we'd ever want to do this, but who knows? So if we can be like, if object name equals red, okay. If we do this and we click on the blue or the green, it's going to throw us again, I think it's a 403 error, a forbidden error, access denied. Maybe there's situations where we might want this to take place, but in my experience, all the times I've ever used this, it's absolutely not, not something you want to. I don't know. It's just not useful, as far as I know, to do that. In this case, we actually don't need this test func at all because we don't have a user on there. So we just want to make sure the user's logged in. So I'll just hit save, and you can leave the formatting like that. The only thing that I want to do is color detail view equals color detail view as view. And then we can take this variable over to the URLs. Drop it right there. Create the path. Colors, and then we need to pass it the color ID. Yeah. So it wants a PK, which is primary key. And there might be a way to change that. I've honestly never thought about it till just now. I don't know why you would, but there is a bit of a difference, right? So like here, realistically, if I wanted to keep it on par with the other one, I would say PK there for a primary key. The only reason why is because whatever's here is expected in the URL. So if I wanted to be able to hot swap these, which I'm going to delete this one, but if I wanted to, for whatever reason, I wanted these to just be on par with each other, this is expecting PK. This is expecting PK now. So in the URLs, if I put PK in the URL, if that one was expecting color ID, if the function-based view was expecting color ID, I would need to put color ID here. It wouldn't work for the class-based view, but we shouldn't be having two views with the same URLs anyways, or the same functionality. It's silly. It's just for demonstration anyways. So say color detail view name equals color. It's very close to the other one, just without the S. Okay. So back in the views real quick, I will go ahead and delete this function-based view. Go and get that out of there. Go ahead and, I already got the other one out. And we'll just use this view here. So I'll hit save, and then over in URLs, just want to double check everything's good. That's good. All right. So over in color list, under the href, we can now create the URL. So we'll say URL, and I think I called it test, right? Test color, and then the PK will equal color ID. Hit save. Go to the page, hit refresh. Let's check out blue, and we get single color HTML is not available. So let's create the file. Color, what did I call it? Single color. Single color.html. Extend the base. Extends. Base.html. Block content. End block content. And then, okay, so just like how we had object list for the list of objects that gets returned with the list view, in this situation we have object. So if I hit save here, let's do, I kept passing the page title, but I haven't actually used it. So this comes from context. Let's go ahead and copy and paste this, and you kind of see how at a certain point you don't even need multiple templates. You just need one template that accepts all of these context parameters. Because right here, I set that. I think it's lowercase from the view, which is good because we can actually check it that way and see that it worked. Hit save. I don't think I did it on the dashboard, did I? It doesn't matter. Let's just do it on those two. We're only worried about the single color right now. I am outputting the object itself. We should see the name of the object. Blue. Yeah. So that's it. If I want the hex, I can just say hex. Ta-da. All right, and if I go back to color, we get the lowercase c from the doc. So it's that simple. It is really that simple. One more thing I can try to fit in here is the without making, so now we're getting into some form stuff, like we're getting into form logic, and you know, you can make a function-based view to create a color and process the post request and the form submission, all that, if you want to. I don't, so I'm going to use the create view. So I'll say color create view, and we'll go ahead and do login required, and we'll do create view, and the model is going to equal color, and the template name would equal test app color create. Sure. Same situation. Oh no, we need one more thing here. We need the form class, which would be color form. We can use it for update and for the other one. Doesn't exist, obviously. Get context. I gotta stop hitting the tab button. I'm going to return the context there. I don't need to override anything on the form itself, so I don't need the form or the get form method to be overwritten. I do want the form valid. I mean, honestly, I don't even think I need form valid for anything at the moment. I think the only thing that I really need is the get success URL, which thank you for that. Which I think what I would want to do, there's a couple ways to go about this. One would be to come up here to not shortcuts. Go ahead and get rid of that. From Django.urls, import reverse, and then from shortcuts, I believe, redirect. I don't need redirect. So, you know, let's just use reverse. The other way that we could do it is go onto the model. We can say, which we would still need reverse. From Django.urls, import reverse. And then we can create a method on the model that's def. You know, a lot of people say get absolute URL. I feel like this is very long. Get absolute URL, but then what else are you gonna call it? Get apps URL, maybe? I don't know. You take self, and we just return reverse. The app is called test color, and then we need to pass it some quargs, which is an object, and the PK needs to go through the URL, and that PK is going to be self.id. So this is now a method on colors that we can use to get that URL anywhere, anytime we need it, and it's actually really helpful. We would have to do the same exact thing down here. You know, we'd have to do the same thing down here. We have to get the object, so I say obj and self dot do I need to get object here? We'll see. I think that's how we need to do that. So now I can say object dot get absolute URL instead of doing the reverse setup. Oh, we got to call it like a function there. I think that's fine. Let me get we'll get query set out of here. We get user passes text mixed in, out of there. All right, so we need the form. This should be fine. I'm trying to think if I'm missing anything else. We won't know if it's fine until we submit the form, and we need the form to submit. I don't need form valid. I don't need user passes test. I don't need or test func. I don't need user. I don't need test func. I don't need form valid. I don't need get form. I just need context, and I don't even need context, but I have it, and then success. But let's go ahead and give it a page title here. Context. Page title equals create color. Hit save. Oh, I'm gonna need the form. Okay, so before we get too far, let's make the form. So new file in the app, we'll call it forms.py. From Django.forms import model form. Nah, that's not what I meant. Form. Thank you. From, what did I name the app? Cookiecutter. Test app. Models import color class equals color form, and we'll extend model form. I'm not going to make any custom fields, so I'm just going to go straight to the class meta. And the model on this is going to be color. And then we have to set the fields, which is a list. And we want the name. We want the hex. All right, so now back over in views, at the top, I like to put my forms under my model imports. Test app.forms import color form. Oh, color form. All right, and now we've got our color form. Okay, so we'll hit save there, and then I guess in color list, sure. Right here, I'm going to add a button class, btn primary. No, let's make it a link. Href. Create color. Go ahead and save that. Come back over here. Go to colors. See what happens. While that's loading, I need to go back to views. I need to make color create view equals color create view dot as view. We can copy this over to urls.py. Nope, wrong one. Close that urls.py. It's the global, it's the main one. Paste it in here. We don't need an int or a slug. I'm just copying this. I'll change this to create color dash create. Go back to the browser now and see what happened. Yeah, we have this create color. I now have a URL for it. So right here, URL equals test color dash create. Hit save. Come back over here and refresh again. Get an internal server error as it goes. What's this? You close. What's your deal? Whoa, 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 whoa. We good? Import. Cannot import name color create view from Cookiecutter. Okay, so we'll go. Oh, because I didn't save, I guess. Refresh. if I click create color, it's going to take me to template not found. So I need to go create the template. You can kind of see a pattern, right? It doesn't matter if I'm doing update. It doesn't matter if I'm doing create, update, or wait, create, retrieve, update, destroy, list. Either way, first we have the model that we're working with. We have to create the model. We have to migrate it. And then we're creating views. We have to make those views have URLs, and then we have to have templates. Boom, boom, boom. It's a four-step process. Model, view, URL. What am I missing? I know there's a fourth one in there anyways, but definitely the models, the views, the URLs, and the templates. Template, see? And you don't always need create, retrieve, update, and destroy, and list on all of your objects. You don't. Sometimes you just need color create. Sometimes you just need create, and you don't need to list them out or even have them accessible by the user. I don't know what you're doing in that situation. Sometimes you don't want them to destroy. Sometimes you want to make a fake destroy where it's not actually going to destroy the object or delete it. It's going to archive it in a way where they can't access it anymore, but it still exists in the system somewhere, just in case type of thing. It's really up to you how you want to do it. Sometimes you don't want to give the option of deleting something at all. Sometimes you're creating objects that are like a dashboard. You wouldn't want your user to be able to delete their dashboard. That would be insane. It'd break your app. They wouldn't be able to function on your app without the dashboard, because usually when you have a dashboard, everything's tied to it. So you wouldn't want to have that option to delete the dashboard anywhere. If anything, it's delete the user. Pause the user, time out the user, whatever you want to do if you have a nefarious user on your site. But it really comes down to like what's required. So we have the block content. In the block content. And then H1 is going to be page title. And then we need a form. So when it comes to Django, if you're not familiar, you've got to have the action. I mean, you have to have this on a form either way, but with Django, you're sending it back to the same view. So in this case, that would be URL test.color.create, and the method, which of course post. You need a button, or let's just do input type submit class btn secondary. Or I think I can say teal. I don't know. Bootstrap's got a lot of fun colors that they hide. Oh, and then we need a value of submit. Then we need the form itself. Every form needs a CSRF token. I might have to look that one up. And then we need the form, which comes through the view on a class-based view as form. So now it's not going to look pretty. I'm not using any of the Bootstrap classes to make it look good, but it's there, and that's what's important. Might be there. We'll have to see. Test app color create. Did I not create? Yeah, let's try that again. Color. That should do us. Let's go check. I was trying to get this in under an hour, get all the list, create, retrieve, update. I'm missing two. I'm missing update. I'm missing delete. I might just keep going. Invalid tag form. Yeah, that's right, because it's not a function. I guess that's what you would call that. It's a tag. You have tags, functions, and filters, if I'm not mistaken. That's actually something I picked up from another templating language, which is Java. So okay, so now we have our form. Why does the button? Oh, because there isn't a teal, I guess. Let's go with secondary. And you can break these forms down into a nicer setup, but just putting out the form is going to give you this. I think I think I've got crispy forms. Is that what it's called? But it's okay. All right, so let's say I want to make a purple, which, if I am not mistaken, what is it? A, B, C, D, E, F, G. I think if I said AA, which would be like the halfway point between 9 and F, and I said, or 0 and F, because it goes 0 through 9 and then A through F. And then if I did AA for blue, red, green, nope, FF for green, and then AA for blue. It doesn't matter. I mean, I guess, okay, we could do something with this. So when I hit submit, it's going to send it back to the view to be processed, the class-based view, which is going to send it to the success URL if it's a success. If not, it's going to give an error. But the error in this case probably won't be on the form itself, because there's nothing that could really fail in this form. I don't even think, well, these inputs are required, but they're right there. It's not checking to make sure that the hexadecimal is correct. It's not checking to make sure there's anything about the name. There's no user thing. So the only error is probably going to be just in the form being set up itself. So it'll be a different kind of error. It's going to be in the console. It's going to, the screen's going to break. I'm hoping that it just redirects us back to the color list and we'll be good. Color create view is missing a query set. Define color create view dot model. Missing a query set. Missing a query set. I don't know that I've ever had to put a query set on a create view before. I wonder what that's about. Def get query set. Kind of makes me wonder if I broke something. Let's just leave it like this and see what happens. It should call. Let's go back. This will happen when you trip it up. There it goes. All right, so we'll say purple. AAFF AA. Submit. Check the logs here. Yeah, I've never had to put a query set on a create view before that I can remember. Model, template name, form class, query set. Is the form wrong? Model, color, fields. That all works. I mean, it loads. It should throw an error if it's not working. What the heck? All right. Well, look. We're recording this in one take here. So I'm not going to pause to do this. I'm just going to go show you how I troubleshoot sometimes with the AI being available. Just paste the code in, you know, and even in this case, I think I'll take the error if I can find it. Wait, where did the... And hopefully, because it is a little weird. You don't have to have a query set, so I think I'm doing something wrong. And ChatGPT is pretty good at pointing out my mistakes. All right, so what it says is the error message indicates that the color create view class is missing a query set. This typically happens when Django expects a query set to be defined for a view, but is not explicitly specified. To fix this issue, you can override the get query set method in your color create view class to provide the query set for the view, since create view is typically used for creating new objects and not for displaying existing ones. Okay, I think I already know what the error is, actually. Instead of worrying about this part, I know exactly, I think, what I'm doing wrong here. If I go to the if I go to create view right here, we need the PK, and it's going to pass an object and object ID, right? So we get the object on the page. Wait, no, it doesn't need that. What the heck? All right, I'm gonna pause. I'll be right back. Okay, yeah. So that literally took me 5 seconds to figure out. Like, not I didn't even figure out what was going on. I asked the AI. It's lowercase m. You know the reason why that'll happen. I'm sure any seasoned Django developer will tell you that, like, models dot model with an uppercase there, and then you go and you're typing model somewhere else, and it's singular model, and you just accidentally just put a capital M. That's all that was. So I was expecting a query set. This is the query set. So now with that out of the way, let's go check it one more time. And I might do the update and delete view in the next video because it's getting a little long. Generic detail view must be called to the object PK. Hold on, I might have tripped it up. Let's go back to colors. So create color. Create color. Purple. AAFFAA. Generic detail view. Let's find out where that's happening. Yeah. Views. All right, so right here, instead of doing this, let's just say self.object get absolute URL. Just making sure that those colors are right. Refresh. Yes. There we go. All right, now when we go back to color list, we have purple. And that's great. All right, so do I want to do this next one? It's kind of the same thing, really. We could copy and paste this. We could even use the same template. No, because we'd have to pass the URL for the form through the context to use the same template. Because we pass the form back for the create view to this, and it doesn't require a PK. And it knows whenever it hits this view to process it as a new object, and if as long as everything goes okay to make a new object. Whereas over here, where we say update, lowercase u on the URL, or on the template, we can use the same form, that's no problem. But it's going to expect a PK to update. So get context, let's say update color, and then let's do an F string here, colon, self.object.name. And the get success URL, I don't need to do anything with form valid. I don't need to do anything with get form. I don't need the test func for this because we don't have a user. It's not user specific. I can hit save. I think, well, almost. I need to change this, update. Update. Okay, so then we can take this and move it over to URLs. The copy and paste game, when you've got all of these views ironed out. Now, look, there's going to be, at some point, you're going to get in a position, like for instance, I was building an app one time where we needed show times on shows. A user could have multiple shows. Each show needed its own set of times. It needed special times, so we take Thanksgiving off, we take, my birthday's on Tuesday, I'm not going to do a show then, that type of thing. And then on top of that, you need your regular schedule times. The times, using these class-based views, you have to pass not just the PK of the time slot, but also the PK of the parent show when you're creating them, and you have to set that in form valid. So if in form valid you use the passed in ID of the parent of the show, find the show and attach it to the object that you're creating, it gets a little more complicated. That's where it starts to get like, okay, maybe we should use a function-based view for this. But even then, it's still not that difficult to get that set up. With this URL, because we're doing an update, we need a PK. And again, PK is just what they expect. You can overwrite that, I'm pretty sure, in a class-based view to tell it what to expect from the URL. But as a default, it's going to expect PK, which is primary key. The primary key either being the object ID is the most basic form of it, or if you're using UUIDs, which is another, it's kind of another thing that needs to be set up. You can do that as a slug. So I'm gonna do color update here. Oh god, update. There we go. Hit save. Where do we want to put these buttons? I guess on the single color page. Let's do a button here. href class btn primary. Oh, we do already have that URL. Test color update, and then the PK would be the object ID, and then we'll just say update for the text for the button. Hit save, and we should see that button on the screen now if everything went okay. Let's go to purple. Okay, so now even though it's kind of in a weird spot, but sure. So when I click on this, it should go to template doesn't exist, which is fine. Absolutely would be better off just putting a lot of things in the context and using one template. I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to I'm going to select the template in my files. I'm going to Control C. I'll select the parent folder. Control V. Now I've got a copy of it. I'll rename it to update. Enter. We're extending base. We got our context here. We have a page title from the context. Let's change this to update. Update. Pass the PK of the object in the view, from the view, whatever. And go back. Hit refresh. There you are. All right, let's change this to B and hit submit. And as you can see, it changed to B. So there's our update. Really, really, really that simple. Okay. The last one, because we have list, we have detail. Let's go ahead and stretch this out to be a little bit like the other ones. We have detail, we have create, we have update, and the last one is destroy, and then we have all of our class-based views. Color, delete view, and for whatever reason, login required. Makes sense. Feels naked without it. Model equals color. Template name is going to equal test app color delete.html. We don't need a get form. We don't need a form valid. Do we need a form class? I don't remember. I think I need to pass the form class for the form. Let's see, form. Let's try it without and see what happens. Do we need context? I guess we could use the context, and I'm just going to go ahead and copy this one up here. And then we'll say delete, put a question mark at the end. I need the success URL, but it can't go back to itself because it won't exist anymore, right? So we need to maybe, do I still have reverse? Let's see, reverse. Nope, I deleted it. Let's go up here and add it again, get rid of these. Once again, that's why we don't hit tab whenever VS Code tries to suggest anything. Reverse lives in Django URLs, so from Django.urls, import reverse. We want to get the reverse for test colors. We got to pass. Oh, we don't even need a quargs. Let's go ahead and save there. And then back in single color, we'll create another button. Let's do a BR. This is poor HTML, but it'll give us what we need, which is a little bit of separation of elements here. Alright, oh, actually, I want to change this to danger. And did we already... wait, what did I do? Delete view, color, and then we'll say color delete view equals color delete view as view. And we'll call this colors delete. It needs the PK to know which one to delete. And then we'll call this name color delete. Hit save. Make sure we have our trailing comma there, just for the next time. And then under single color, we can change this to delete. Other than that, it can be the same. And then we'll call this delete right here. Oh, we have to go into a single color. So when I click this, it should take us to another page where the template doesn't exist. It's good. It's a good sign. And then, of course, I think we can just go ahead and do the copy and paste thing again. So I will copy, create, copy, go to the parent folder, hit paste, rename it. Over, delete. Object ID. Hit refresh. Delete color purple. So one thing to note, we didn't need the form class because it's just a delete form, so it just provides that form automatically. I think you could overwrite the delete form, but I mean you're deleting it. I don't know what else to, what else you just that you shouldn't need to do that. I don't think. One thing you might want to do is like, well, this is really it. It's like a pop-up, right? It's not a pop-up. We haven't gotten close to progressive functionality at the moment. We're just going from URL to URL to get things done. So we're on this delete view right now. This is technically your pop-up. You click delete. It comes over here, says, "Are you sure you want to delete it?" Basically, right? And then you click submit. Let's see what happens. It goes back. That item's gone. So there you go. Those are your class-based views in Django. They work. It's not a cookie-cutter Django thing. You could do that in any Django install. It works really well in this situation. And create, retrieve, update, destroy, list. Those are the 5 things that make a web app. Up, down, left, and right. I think I might take a pause, maybe like next week or tomorrow. I'm not sure when. I'll come back after I get these up. I'll come back and I'll do some more complicated stuff if you're watching this, if you have any suggestions or questions or anything you'd like for me to show off or do a tutorial on, feel free to drop it in the comments. If I did anything that you think I did wrong, let me know that too. That'd be interesting to get a little feedback. Yeah, if you have any questions about what I've done so far, I'll get back with you in the comments. Just let me know. I think the next thing that I would probably do is maybe set up a more intricate user area with the dashboard. Maybe do some long-running tasks with Celery. I don't know. We'll see what the next video does. But I'm going to go ahead and get these edited and put them up on wherever I put them up, and maybe give a couple days to see if anybody can even find them and what they think. So let me know. Let me know down in the comments. All of the resources that I have available at my disposal are going to be in the description. Also, you should find a link to my website down there. Not that I'm selling anything. Not selling anything to anybody. Everybody calm down. This is not an ad. This is for your benefit. I'll put this link in the description. It is a 23-minute read, 21-minute read. Web application development in Django and Docker using Cookiecutter. So it's a lot of what I've gone over in the last couple of videos. It even has the list of commands here that one would need. Get that out of here. Not selling anything. There's nothing on here to buy. It's purely for educational purposes. These are the commands that you could use for Django. It's got all of my knowledge laid out here. There's my ugly mug with the mustache. Okay. So this is a good resource. It'll be in the description. Cookiecutter is going to be in the description. Cookiecutter Django is going to be in the description. And yeah, next time we'll work on some more advanced topics. How about that? Until then.